Okay, alright, so here we are, March 4th, 6 p.m. EDC. So many different meetings, I forget which meeting I'm in sometime. I don't have any minutes. I think Scott took them last time, but, so the wreath wrap up, the wreath is still up, right?
Most of them I think have been taken down, there's a couple
Oh,
that are
just a
still
couple.
up. Yeah, so I'll have to talk to DPW about that.
Did you take any minutes last?
Yeah, I think I sent it.
Did you send it to me?
Yeah, I usually do. Yeah, I can check. Yeah,
Yeah.
give me a second.
Yeah, if you sent it to me, I'll send them out next time.
So I did.
And go do both.
What was the
next
last
time.
one?
January
What was it?
10th-ish. We skipped February.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it now.
I can pull them up. I do have them there.
Yeah. I know you sent them to me, but anyway, so where are we with funds and everything?
I'm
For the
sorry.
wreath,
I'm sorry, say that again?
where are we with funds?
With funds, we have $1,011.33 in the account.
That's after we paid,
And that's after we paid Bolton Orchards 500.
and after we paid for the brackets and everything.
Yep.
Well, we're charging too much, or we have to find out something else to do with the money.
I think that would be more the case. Let's try and
Yeah.
do something with the money.
Do something good with it.
I think $30 per wreath is.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is
I thought they were really nice, but maybe next year we could get the bigger size.
Yeah.
I agree. We had a really hard time finding the bigger ones. That's why we had to go with the smaller
Yeah,
ones.
they ran out.
Yeah.
Because the rainy season, they didn't have the larger.
Yeah.
But also, we were worried about the banners being up, but then they ended up being down.
Yeah.
We thought it would be congested,
Right. Yeah,
so
that's true.
I'm sure we could find something good to do. Some good to do in town with that money, somewhere related somehow to,
Maybe we
Aesthetics.
might need it when we do the farmer's market, you know. Might need money for that or something.
well, we did last time, yeah,
Yeah.
so, yeah, maybe, I don't know, something like that. Or if we have some of our own banners during the off-season, you know, something, just holiday. Because they do what, Memorial Day to Veterans Day, right, pretty much?
I don't remember.
I think that's what she's doing,
Yeah.
so maybe we get some happy holidays banners, because the brackets are all still up there, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so the 2019 annual business breakfast. So it's already March. We're way behind on this one. That's why, this doesn't mean the reason why I wanted to meet. So does anybody have any, so we've had it at, let's see, if I can name it off. Bolton Capital Group, International, Neshoba, Paragon,
Yeah.
Slater's, yeah, I think that's all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you know, when we had it at Paragon, the theme was sort of like focusing on the industrial zones, and we had it both at, maybe we could repeat too, that's fine, but, I don't know. Any ideas, any other places, or should we go back to another place, or, I like to talk about potential speakers, and kind of, if we want a sort of theme or something.
Mhm.
What were the places that was at again?
So we did Bolton Capital Group, the
Yeah.
first one,
Yeah.
to show what you could do with renovating a property.
Right.
Then we did International.
Mhm.
Then we did Neshoba, actually at Jay's.
Mhm.
That was good. And then Paragon. And then we did Slater's.
Got it.
Yeah, usually, yeah, they all went really well. So, I don't know. Thoughts, Erica?
At one point, we had talked about maybe doing something that's more agriculturally related. Maybe doing it at one of the farms. That was one idea of 1 year. We haven't done it at the Bolton Bean yet. I don't know if Frank would
That's
even
true.
be open to that.
Yeah, right,
It's
because
a
you have to
possibility.
take
Right.
up his space or whatever.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to, I assume, compete with his normal business.
Yeah.
So,
He's expanding though.
yes.
He does, I mean, he might be willing to open up for an evening.
For 1 hour, yeah.
Can ask him.
What time in the morning does he open, 7?
think so.
7, I
Yeah.
think so.
I wonder what his
They
business is like
close at
between 7 and 8,
4.
if it's been busy, or if that would be an hour he'd be willing to give to us, you know, for whatever, I don't know what we
Yeah.
usually, is it 500 we usually pay for food?
Yeah, 600, actually,
600.
yeah.
I don't think he would be ready to do anything this year, but maybe next year,
Mm-hmm.
because he built a yoga studio.
Right,
And
right.
that's not, they're still working on that.
Yep,
They're gonna expand the kitchen, they're pushing back a little bit.
for a dining room area, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're gonna have there'll be a juice bar downstairs, but in the back, I think.
So maybe we wait and see if he's interested next year once he's done his
Yeah.
expansion.
Room for 50 people. Wow, he's so excited about it, he can hardly stand it.
Well, adding the kitchen and the,
Yeah.
He's
well,
gonna be open
the
what?
yoga studio, he's just
Oh.
really, because he does yoga and he's really.
he walked up, I was at board meeting yesterday, and he walked up to me, Frank, I didn't even recognize him. It was like, all like the long hair and stuff
Oh, yeah.
now. And he was like, hey, I'm like, he's like, oh, it's Frank. I'm like, oh, sorry. He's like, yeah, I know, I look like a hippie now. It was like this curly long
He's such
hair.
a good guy.
I was like so used to him being like
Yeah.
buzzed.
Yeah, well, he'll be that again in the summer, I'm sure.
It's funny. Um, there's the space next to Dagnall Liquors. That's like a little office space. I mean,
Oh, up here? On,
Frank Chiodo's new property. So Frank Chiodo bought, yeah, on
Yeah.
Forbush Mill. It's the Dagnall Liquors. There's like a nice little office that he's been trying to rent out next to it.
Yeah,
I
how
think
big
like,
is that?
it's actually pretty big. I was surprised.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't been in there.
So is
Pretty
that?
rustic, I think, though. Is it?
Well, he did it over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I haven't been in the building in a long time, so.
Yeah, I mean, from the outside, it doesn't look spectacular. Something in the office park, I know that they've been trying to do stuff. I don't know, is there a space in the office park maybe?
I'm sure they have some type of conference room we can hold it in. Yeah, that is definitely a possibility.
So, I mean, if we're thinking theme, and I know like the Condyne people have come to me a couple times asking about, you know, sewer system and, you know, building up, like, they showed Erica and I a plan, like redeveloping that whole property with multiple pads, lots of different retail shops, a restaurant, but the problem is they just can't do it. Well, they'd have to create their own sewage treatment plant,
Yeah.
and they don't wanna do that. So he's like, is the town doing anything? I mean, anything we would do is so far off though, you know, and
Right.
I was suggesting maybe he talks to, you know, him and Frida's and Kane could somehow pull together or something and do their own, I don't know. I don't know if we were gonna do that. But I don't know, maybe we could, it's office park and talk about future infrastructure or something.
Possibly.
I don't know.
We have it catered if we did it there, or do they have?
Yes,
places to get-
Bruce would probably come over. I don't think they have any cafeteria or anything there.
Yeah.
But Bruce, you know, went to a Paragon before
I
and
think
stuff.
they do have a cafeteria, but I don't think they use it. I think
Oh,
they have
okay.
cafeteria space.
He
but I
did
don't-
a good job last year, I thought. Bruce.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, and he brought food over to the Paragon, and it was
Mhm.
good.
Yeah. Or we could just go back to Slater's.
Yeah,
I know there's been interest in the past to do something at the winery, like in the evening. I
yeah.
don't know if, you know, again, if they'd be open to something like that.
Oh, they have the little pavilion area too.
It's not little, it's huge inside.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And so there, maybe office
I
park.
guess it's the first question, are we gonna keep this a breakfast, or did we wanna try and do an evening event this year?
Yeah, I mean, we always throw that around, but then we usually fall back to, we feel like we can get more people in the morning. I know you think that, right?
Well, selfishly, I like the mornings
Yeah,
better, but.
yeah. No, but I mean, just like, you know, I know people with kids and stuff,
Sure.
you know, it's tough to get away in the evenings. The evenings are probably harder than the mornings for families, I would
At
think.
least for like a consistent time, probably.
Yeah,
Like with, some people might say, oh, 5 is better, between 5, 7, 8, you know, it's like a
Yeah.
wide range of times.
Yeah,
that they
right.
work with.
Right.
Whereas in the morning, it's like.
where 7 to 8 a.m. in the morning is usually pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Unless you're like going to the city or something, and then you're gone. So, yeah, so, okay, let's shortlist what? Office Park, Winery Pavilion. And you brought up farms, does like Bolton Spring Farm have like space? I'm trying to think what they have for space. They have a pretty big retail area.
You run the risk of, if you do anything outside, that if it's raining or anything, you're gonna.
Well, I was thinking inside in their little farm stand, but
You're pretty tight, probably.
yeah.
Unless it was before,
Needs
it's
to
not gonna,
access
when do they
that.
open? Unless it was like the, a week before they opened or something, they didn't have
Yeah.
all their produce and everything in yet.
Yeah. I mean, we have so when are we talking about doing it?
There's Fotini's as well. I've never been to Fotini's. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, we go there a lot.
You go there a lot?
Yeah, I don't
That
know
would
that
have
they'd
the
be.
space or not.
Yeah, they do have space and they do, yeah. I don't know if they like
Be
cooking
interested.
a lot in the morning. They do, I know, events in the evening, like, wedding, what do they call them, the first dinner, the
Oh,
rehearsal dinners, yeah. They do
So
that.
they have a room, like designated?
Yeah. They definitely would have space.
Mhm.
I can ask. I mean, because actually people forget about Foutini's a lot, I feel like. It's kind of like down.
Right,
on
it's
the
right
line.
near Clinton, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Office Park, Winery, Foutini's. I guess that's a good 3. And then speakers, we were able to get Dean Tran and Kay Hogan last year. I don't know if we'll be able to get them
Yeah,
again.
I guess it comes down to what type of theme we really want this to have.
Yeah.
You know, what do we want the presentations to be about, and then maybe that will kind of tell us where we'd want to have it as well.
Right.
You know,
Where's-
whether it be a farm or a restaurant or
Yeah.
one of the office, buildings.
Yeah, if we're talking like infrastructure, maybe it would be good to get somebody who's worked grants to, match up. Because I know, like, was it Sterling or Lancaster just matched up a business with the town? Like a
So maybe we ask one of the town officials from another community that has done it really well to come and speak about how they've,
Yeah,
how they've done it.
added public.
Yeah, that would be,
Yeah.
I think that would be really
And
good.
whether it's one of their town administrators or their town planners or
Yeah.
somebody, to see if they can come and give a presentation on, how they've done it.
Yeah, that would be good, because I feel like as the EDC, we should just start making noise with the public sewer, and maybe that's the way we do it, And maybe it does make sense to have it at the office park somewhere, because they're partly interested in it, so.
And how in depth was their plan proposal? Would it be enough to kind of highlight that, hey, this is what we would be interested in doing if something like this were to.
We could ask them, I don't know what they would want to show publicly, but.
Yeah.
It was pretty detailed. I mean, they had like 2, if I remember, like 2 blocks of retail, right? Like, so they were, utilizing the multiple building bylaw coming through. So it was like 2 blocks of like retail, and there was gonna be some top floor office, from what I remember.
Yeah, they were using mixed use village overlay.
Okay, yeah, that's
That's what
right.
they were doing. So they were doing the residential on top, shops on bottom. They were gonna retain one of the office buildings out of the 2 that they have now.
And then there was gonna be one like bigger restaurant, I don't know if it was.
Yeah, they were
like-
gonna do restaurant space, and then I think either like a
A C-
pharmacy type
Yeah,
space, or I think they were talking about a grocery store, one of those 2.
yeah, like a small grocery store or
Yeah.
something, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, they're just, they actually went to talk to the DEP about, well, if we divide up the land, can we get 10,000 for each space? But they're like, no, it's the same contiguous owner, so you don't get that latitude of having 10,000 gallons per day for this, 10,000 for that, 10,000 for this. So you get the 10,000. And after that, you have to get a sewage treatment plant, or, have access to something, so. So I think that might, I'd be really interested in that, to hear whether we get a selectman, and then if we can get somebody responsible, maybe somebody from DEP or somebody responsible for.
Well, maybe
seeing
it's someone
Mass
from Mass,
Work.
I was just gonna say, maybe it's someone from Mass Works,
Yeah.
depending on
Yeah,
the type of development they wanna do, job creation, maybe they can come in and speak to, okay,
yeah,
this might be, a potential project for us.
yeah.
I don't know.
Something along those lines sounds good and interesting to me. you know, and it'd be useful to people, I think, in town.
I mean, I know Stowe got a Mass Works to do their lower village area, or
I always see it, what's the Lower Village
the
area? Is
area
that
that
Shaw's?
they're, yeah, exactly, where they're doing the improvements now.
Okay.
What was the other community you were talking about, Lancaster?
It was either Lancaster, well, I know the Lancaster is doing something along 70, but maybe it was Sterling I'm thinking of, off of Route 12, in that area. There's a lot of industrial there now, and I think,
Yeah.
I think there was like a sewage, public sewer added to that section to entice more businesses to come.
Mhm.
And I think one of those businesses, I'd have to go look, one of those businesses kind of like co-sponsored it.
Mhm.
You know, saying, well, if we can get this and we build this because of the public sewer, then will I be adding so many jobs? And so they kind of were on the grant with the town. I think the state is, you know, the state is giving a lot of money for those type of projects, so. That'd be good. I know, I was on email, I asked, because Eileen Fitzpatrick, who's the realtor for the Cracker Barrel, right,
Yeah.
building over there.
Mm-hmm.
She just went,
I didn't get them right.
oh, okay, yeah, mixed up my Eileen's. What was I gonna say? Oh, so she, Eileen Griffith, right, she is having a hard time selling that Cracker Barrel because of this sewer situation, sewer rainwater.
Mhm.
She just can't get anybody to like be willing to take over the tight tank situation, because it's costing them, you know, tens of thousands of dollars a year, which everybody here, we've talked about that many times. So she was saying, like, the public sewer is like right there, like, can we not just tie into it? And so she went to the Board of Health and asked about it, and they're like, well, maybe, you know, maybe if you have a septic system and you could release the liquids, you know, instead of having like a leaching field, you can release it to the public. But I think then you get into, or could maybe answer better, but I think the second you go private tying it to public, you need like a sewer commission, and, you know, so it just gets really complicated really fast.
Yeah, you need a sewer district.
You need to have a sewer district, and then you can't just kind of like set it up for one person. It has to be a whole thing. So there's really no easy solution. And I think this Thursday, so she asked to be on, and then I kind of asked to tag along on it to bring up the need, and just to state at the Board of Selectmen meeting that, you know, business, the Condyne was interested in it, and I'm sure other business properties would be interested in it, that as a town, you know, whether we need you know, Don Lowe was pretty adamant that we didn't need a study committee, because he said he already knows what needs to be done. It's just if we decide to do it or not. So I was just gonna try to get it in a public meeting, you know. Just, so if anybody wants, I think it's gonna be the 7th, I'll email out if anybody's interested in coming. But yeah, so I think that is a good tentative plan to maybe have it at Condyne. I don't know if they have like an, you know, it doesn't have to be a beautiful space, but it could be some unused area of their building or something, you know.
Mhm.
And that would help maybe showcase, you know, if they give a tour of what they have available for space, and then, you know, what they have potential plans for the property, if they want to speak, you know, Condyne.
Mhm.
What was his name? David? No, not David.
It's,
The guy who
the
talked.
president is O'Neill, I'm blanking on his first name,
Yeah,
and Mark Dibb is the engineer.
Mark Dibb, yeah, I think that's who I talked to. He has like a kind of crew cut.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a good tentative plan.
Okay.
So let's,
Are we shooting for June again? Last year we did it in June.
yeah, it kind of like stuck to June. And that was mainly because of Kate Hogan.
I think that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't have time at the moment to really.
It's already March.
Yeah.
That's only 3 months away, so.
I mean, originally we had it in April.
Right, no way
Does it
we
make a
could do
difference to the
that.
board whether we have it April, May, or June?
No,
I mean,
that's fine. June is fine. I wouldn't do any later than June, because then.
No, early
both
June.
includes it. Yeah, early June. I mean, that sounds good.
Okay.
So shoot for early June. And then that'll give us plenty of time to get some potential speakers lined up.
And what about Paul Matthews? Last year we didn't have him do a presentation, but I know we've had him in the past.
Let's see, like you said, see if we can get somebody from one of those towns that have just recently added a public sewer. I know Harvard did it, I think Sterling, Lancaster might be doing it. And like you said, the process of the sewer commission and, what is it, sewer district. And how long maybe it took their town to do it, you know?
Lancaster's doing it in sort of in stages. They did some on 117.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what I'm
you
thinking.
probably noticed it when you probably saw it. If you drove on 117,
Uh-huh.
you maybe didn't realize that's what it was.
Oh, but
Yeah.
they were digging and stuff, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I think that's a good plan. Okay. Anything else for that? So we'll ask somebody from Mass Works. You know, I don't know who.
If they'd be willing, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
There's a particular woman that sort of heads that application process up, so we can contact her. and-
if they're like a communication director or somebody.
Yeah, I know there's one particular woman that gives presentations a lot about it, so.
Yeah, that'd be great. Might get interest from other towns too. You know, who want to hear that type of talk. All right. Sounds good. Welcome sign update, maintenance fee. So on the welcome sign update, so the light's still out. I tried contacting that Bob Johnson?
Bob Johnson?
Yeah. I contacted him. I haven't touched base with him recently, but I didn't want to, like, since he was working for free, like,
Right.
push him or anything, but stinks that the light's out. I don't know. I wonder if when the landscape was there, if they cut a wire or something, I don't know.
I don't know.
Who knows? But we do want to get somebody like doing some type of land management there or something. I know Rick was gonna go look at it, so we should push that again for the spring. I'll ask Rick to do it.
Oh, I thought Rick was coming tonight, actually.
He said he was.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he thought it wasn't happening.
Maybe not.
But, yeah, definitely be nice to pretty that up a little bit. Get it, I mean, it was, last summer, it was like ridiculously overgrown. So, yeah. Have we had any other requests to join the sign, or? No?
I
But-
actually need to get the maintenance fee, the letters out in the mail for that.
Okay. Yep. All right, so social media and article updates. Amy's been writing some articles, and every time we do articles, I say this, and every time we write articles, it gets, and I send it out to you guys, I mean, it gets thousands of views, and
She does a really good job.
yeah, we have a pretty good process where she sends me text and I pretty it up into the website. And steal pictures from whatever, some Facebook pages and stuff.
Still with pride.
Huh? Yeah,
It's research.
yeah, research. It's in the public domain. So, and I mean, our daily traffic for like the website's like 2 or 3 people. But when we post those stories and like people there, it gets a couple hundred people in that couple of days or so. And every time we do a story, we get like, you know, I feel like we always we handle like critical mass who would like the Facebook page, but every time we do stories, it seems like 5 or 10 more people, you know. We're at like 570 or 80 people right now. So, and with the Bolton community page and sharing things over there, on really interesting stories, we get 3,000 views, which is, it's pretty amazing that,
Yeah.
it's pretty amazing that we can get, you know, it's a lot of eyes on what we write, so it's definitely worthwhile. I asked Amy to do, and she's pretty busy, but she said that Family Perspectives at Paragon. I went looking at their webpage. They came in really quietly into town and haven't really said anything, so I mean, they must have a pretty good customer base, but they have a pretty good setup there based on what I saw on the webpage. They had some videos and stuff.
I've been there.
Oh, have you? Oh,
Yeah.
because your son?
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, they do. I think they have some pretty ambitious plans to really grow it, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks
Nice
really
job.
cool. I mean, it's like a good.
It is. They've done a really nice job. And they're expanding because when we were there, I think they were taking about 8,000 or 10,000 square feet at the time, and I think they were doubling that.
Yeah,
So, and as you know, it's an enormous building.
Yeah.
so.
I mean, it looked really nice. I saw some like YouTube
Yeah.
videos and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So pretty much it's just a way to get children on the spectrum to get interaction time.
Correct,
Yeah.
that's correct,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
On
They
different levels.
Principally focus on autism,
Yeah.
I would guess. I
Yeah.
think that was the takeaway that we had from it.
It seemed like they had different, I mean, I don't know much about it, but it seemed like they had like different ranges from high
Right.
functioning to lower functioning.
Well, it's two fathers who have autistic children who started it, and then there's a woman who used to be in the show who's running it.
So she's like the technical lead?
Correct, I
Yeah.
think she's the director.
So she has like the degrees or whatever?
That's correct,
And
yes.
then-
Yep,
And they, you know, have knowledge through experience.
correct,
Yeah.
yep. And they're trying to fill a void.
Yeah. And so I started following their Facebook feed, and it seems like, you know, like they have classes and,
Yep.
yeah, so see if we can get them more attention. So Amy said she would go over there and work on that. The other thing I was gonna do is, on the webpage is, there's so many small businesses, in-home businesses, and there's been a couple of threads on Facebook and on this new networking Facebook page for Bolton, of small businesses, you know, just like, I know like Dave Yeze's wife does a Golden Run Crafts, I don't know what it is or something, but there's just so many of those businesses in town that I was thinking about just adding a tab, like in-home small business tab, where they would be listed out. And I know you talked about, it would be nice to get away where it's more automated, if we can get some type of spreadsheet where, a Google Doc, where these small businesses could add their name in some form, you know, in like a form factor that would easily dump straight to the webpage, you know? I gotta imagine there's a way to do that, to dump like an Excel spreadsheet right over to,
Should be.
to the webpage, the way it works. I could ask Lisa Miller about that, but so I think it would be really good, you know, to get them on a web and recognize all those small businesses. I mean, they're kind of invisible, you don't see them much, but it's definitely, especially once we get to Backyard Bolton, you know, all those businesses come out of the woodwork.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've already had a lot of people, you know, saying that they want to come next year and stuff, so.
Nice.
I think that thing's gonna keep growing and growing, it seems.
It's great.
Yeah. But so if we, leading up to Backyard Bolton, if we could, you know, I think just a tab on the webpage, which I can do too, but it would be nice to figure out a way to do it automatically so that if you know, they have some new item or something that they can somehow feed it in, you know?
Yeah, I think we talked about that, I need to do this too, just like a monthly ping, where they
Yeah.
enter their info and if they have anything
Yeah,
to do, goes
right.
into a spreadsheet, then
Yeah.
just dump it in there.
Yeah. And then if, then somehow we can pull it out, put it on Facebook, you know?
Right.
Or just like keep relinking, hey, look, this new update's on this
Right.
tab on the webpage, you know, even if we just do that, that would probably be good. And then we'd drive people to the webpage, so.
Eric, is our Facebook page, I assume we follow a lot of the local businesses, right?
Yeah.
Their Facebook pages.
Yep.
Do we know if we're kind of following all of the ones that are on the master business list? Because I think we have a pretty good sense of which businesses have Facebook pages on
Yeah.
there.
I
I'm just
tried
wondering if
to.
we should go through and just double check that we're following all of those businesses and making sure that
Okay.
we're sharing anything that they're posting.
Yeah, so I try to do that,
Yeah.
but the problem is, once you get over a few hundred, I mean, it's
It's
like,
tough.
I don't like, you know, I'm on a lot, but I'm not on that much.
Right.
And sometimes I
It
don't
just
look
gets
at
buried,
it, sometimes
yeah.
I don't look at it for a day.
Yeah.
And it's like things just go flying by. So sometimes I'll make an effort to like pick a few businesses and I'm like, oh, and I see that, my goodness. So I don't know if you guys noticed, every now and then I'll do like 5 in a row, but that's just because I've been going, I'll cycle through the businesses and I'll just put them up. But I mean, it's like a full-time job
Yeah.
to keep up with Facebook and social media and like, you know, these type of like Chamber of Commerce type roles, like what's it, Melissa from, I mean, they're always posting and they're always on top
Yeah.
of business. I just can't do it. I just can't keep up with it. It's just so much. But I agree. I mean, and that's what I was saying, it would be good to get an automated way or businesses. And I was thinking the same thing with farms, some automated like spreadsheet that they could just say, hey, this week we have this available, you know.
So how would it show up on the website? I guess I'm,
Well, that's what I was saying, if there was like an in-home, like, so we have,
would it just be a spreadsheet or would it be something more attractive?
well, I was saying it would be more attractive.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I didn't follow that, because I'm thinking, who's gonna be looking at a spreadsheet, but if it's something.
No,
more-
like, I kind of imagine there's a way that you could take a spreadsheet, you know, and you can link cells within the
Yeah.
spreadsheet
Okay.
to a webpage, you know. There's
This
gotta
is-
be a way of doing it.
This is the draft we had to start, but it was basically.
Yeah, this is a good
businesses,
draft, I like
events,
it.
The
Yeah.
months, they can plug in a link to it.
Yeah.
If they want to put detail.
Yeah.
And then,
And then there's gotta be a way, so, I mean, you can make this a Google Doc, there's gotta be a way to point to cells, like link to cells within a Google Doc. I mean,
Right.
it's all hyperlinked, so
I'll
it's
take-
gotta be
I'll
possible.
take a look, I just, I gotta put the time into it, but I'm sure you can do it.
Yeah, I'm sure,
Straightforward.
you know, database type things where,
Right.
and then it would come, it'd be like some colorful, it would be, I'm picturing like a grid-like pattern where you have the business and then maybe some pictures or something, but it would be prettier than a spreadsheet. But if there was a way to automatically feed it, just to try to get out of the way of things, you know, not be a middleman. I don't know, I have to do some research, maybe,
I'll take a look,
yeah.
I can do it, I'll do it this week.
Because we can give access to a Google Doc to, you know, all these businesses.
Yeah, just send the link out.
And even worst case, if it's just a way of them notifying us that, because I do see when the Google Doc, when I've done other public docs, that when it gets updated, I can see when it's been updated, you know.
Right,
So at least it's a way of collecting what they want to be said,
right.
and like you said, a way of, you know, them pinging us, or a more automated situation where then maybe once a week on the weekend, I can go through and just pull it over.
Right.
Versus having to go over and ask people individually.
Can I just digress for a second? Can we just go back to the business breakfast?
Yeah.
So my only concern is that, I agree that having the discussion about the sewer district, but, and I'm asking you maybe, wouldn't we want to just ask the Board of Health and maybe Don Lowe first before we do
Well,
something? I agree that it's a topic that,
Yeah.
my personal opinion, it's worth having. But I just want to make sure that
Definitely.
all the constituents are on board.
Yeah.
Just because I wouldn't want to go way out there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we talked about Condyne, for example, you know, you bring them in, that's 3 miles beyond,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
true.
and so, you know, I don't want to have, I mean, I want to have an impactful, meaningful conversation,
Yeah,
and not all of a sudden have people that are like, oh my God, what the hell are these guys talking about? So I
That's
just,
true.
I think it's good to have it, but I would prefer if we kind of
yeah.
checked in with them.
Yeah.
And then-
Totally.
Well, so I am meeting with Board of Selectmen on Thursday, I think. And Eileen had kind of like kicked it off because she requested to speak to them about,
And that makes perfect sense,
Yeah.
because that kind of is in, if we have any sewer district now.
Yeah.
I think to me, that makes the most
Yeah.
sense, because of the density of those
Yeah.
houses and
Yeah.
those properties.
but I was gonna show up, and Don asked me to show up just to have around that discussion, to have a little bit more of a general discussion.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure, and the only reason I said it, because, you know, I've spoken to Chris Slade a couple times, and I'm not clear on how he views this, and, you know, I have a lot of respect for Chris, he's a very bright guy, and he didn't see the need the last time we
that's
talked
the,
about
that's the
it.
sense I got from him.
And I'm not saying that he's right or wrong, he's done it a lot more than I have, I'm just saying that I think it would be better if we included people before we
For sure, for sure.
announce the meeting, and then,
Yeah,
that's just my take.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not, I don't think the meeting would be like, hey, this is, you know, what we're doing.
Oh, no,
It'd just
I
be
agree.
like,
We're not trying to embarrass people. I just think that my impression the last time is, you know, we might be a solution looking for a problem, because he indicated that really, other than that property, there really isn't a huge problem. I personally think it's beyond that. I've already shared with you, we spent, you know, 6 figures doing our septic system
Yes.
years ago, and if we had an option of tying in, we would have been a heartbeat.
So I look at it as kind of two compartmentalized issues, which you definitely have the residential portion,
Sure.
Manor Road to Bolton. Manor, the HUD property. You definitely have all those residential, but then you also have a lot of undeveloped business property,
Mm-hmm.
Bolton Capital, Frida's came, that if there was a public sewer and
Oh,
things.
absolutely.
I mean, if you ask all those, owners, what's the major issue? It's not necessarily zoning or anything. The major issue is public infrastructure.
Correct. I agree with that.
So, I mean, we definitely have the issues with the residential, but if we ever really do want around 495 developed, we might need to make an investment, as a town.
Great, wholeheartedly. And I think it's appropriate to have the conversation. I would just feel more comfortable if we
Yeah.
kind of said to,
Yeah, we can ask Don what he thinks
the
about us
others.
having that as a
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah.
For sure, I mean, I would want.
So maybe if it's pitched as more like kind of raising awareness and bringing it to the forefront for discussion. It's not saying, hey, we need to have this, although many may,
Yeah.
and including here.
I know plenty of business owners though, as soon as we have a conversation, they're running with it. They're
Right,
like,
but I
you
mean,
know.
in the end, like, the town is gonna have to, the people that live here
Yeah.
have
Right,
to okay
because
this,
it's gonna,
and they're gonna have to
it's
bring
not,
buy
I mean,
into
there's
it.
no mass work grant that's gonna give you $4 or $5 or $6 million for
Right.
this infrastructure. It's gonna be borne by the ratepayers and the
Yeah.
taxpayers.
I think it'll be, it's easy to pitch it to somebody that lives on Main Street and has to deal with this. It's gonna
Agree
be harder
wholeheartedly.
to,
If all
Yeah,
they
people
do
that
is
live out
buy
there and say,
into
"What do I
it
care?"
and
You know?
improve what's down there, I think people would be on
Yeah.
board. It's
Yeah.
then when you expand it. But I think having a voice from a community that's done it is important.
I just don't know
It can
how-
be done.
So I guess,
Really?
I just don't know how personally we, it's just really hard because every time I bring it up, it's like you just get major pushback of, oh, that'd be really hard and difficult and you need, it's the whole, and it's just like then, I'm like, okay, well, I won't talk about it for a year and it never gets mentioned again until you bring it up. It's like, I just don't know how it will ever happen if somebody's not championing it.
Well, and I think the first time we talked about it, the way I look at it, this isn't a decision for today. It's a decision for 20 years from now, right? This is
Yeah,
kind of
right.
like, what does 117 in Main Street Bolton look like 20 years from now?
Yeah,
And what decisions do we need to make today to see that comes to fruition?
yeah,
So I agree with you. I don't think it's, no one's going to sit at a meeting and say, oh God, this is great. It's going to happen in the fall.
no, yeah.
But I think that my experience is if it's actually going to be a real possibility, you want to bring as many stakeholders to the table
For sure.
and then have that dialogue. And that's just my only take.
So maybe we should just tell Don that we're thinking as a topic to potentially talk about public sewer at this and see what he thinks about that. Yeah. I don't want to, like you're saying, I don't want to step on toes and,
Right.
make anybody upset. It'll be interesting to hear what's talked about on Thursday. I think if that is on the
Sure.
agenda.
I think that'd be we'll get a really good sense of how they feel about it.
Yeah,
Thursday, I agree with you.
yeah, I mean, I can almost picture in my head, I feel like I know the selectmen enough that I almost know what they're gonna say and who's gonna say it.
I disagree with you.
Huh?
But I'll keep it in my head. But
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
wholeheartedly.
Like,
I would be willing to bet.
one will be like, that's great, and the other two are gonna be like, oh, just like, so you have to do this,
Yeah. It needs to be coupled with the 117 complete redevelopment of 117
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Because if we're gonna put new properties on 117 that already has a traffic issue, then how are we gonna
Sure,
pump the additional
sure.
traffic? I mean,
Hopefully-
it's kind
hopefully
of-
this water
They all
quality-
kind of link into each other.
Hopefully the water aquatic redo the intersection there will take care of a lot. I mean, if they can get they're getting a left-hand turning lane, is that what they're doing?
That's what they're working towards, a signalized turning lane, yep.
And when they said no land taking, sorry, I'm going off topic too. That's how it's weird, planning board is so structured, and this is so like free-flowing, it's like completely opposite meetings. Planning board is like, okay, from this time to this time, we're working on this specific item, but here we're a little more easy. But, what was I gonna say? Oh,
Left-hand turn,
Oh,
so there's
the
no
left-
space for it.
yeah, they said there was they said there wasn't gonna be any land taking. Does that mean that we're just gonna use the right of
The right
way?
of way.
But then doesn't that just expand the right of way, or no? So if we use the right of way, don't we need to expand the right of way?
Well,
I'm just
I'm
asking.
not sure what falls within that right of way. I guess,
Oh.
is that what you're kind of
Yeah,
asking, if
yeah.
someone's front yard or
Yeah.
someone's mailbox or whatever fall? I don't know the
So that's
details.
true,
I haven't
because, I
seen
mean, the
it.
right of way technically isn't their land,
Right.
but some people might consider it their land.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
so it could get interesting.
couple landtaking, but they've had it for the last
Yeah.
30 years.
Because I know that's kind of come up a couple of times where somebody wanted to put, down in 117, somebody wanted to put up a wall because they had kids and they felt unsafe with 117. And like, you can't put some big cinder block wall, it's the right of way. What if
Right.
we need to do something, you know? Then you have to like tear down your giant wall.
Mhm.
So I think they turned them down. So people were like, yeah, but that's my yard. They're like, it's not your yard. And 117 extends pretty far.
Hmm.
So it's gonna be interesting. But I mean, we definitely need a left-hand turning lane there, and I think all it takes is one person scared to turn left,
Yeah.
and 117 backs up past 495, so. Where did we get to? So yeah, so I was talking about social media and article updates and website, and yeah, so.
You thinking of with Eric somewhere?
Yeah,
in
so
this
like
page?
one of these tabs, I would have like, you know, small in-home business or something, if you wanted to
Right.
turn around.
Right.
So one of these top tabs just be like in-home businesses or something, and then you click in and then it would,
Mhm.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So I just briefly looked
Small
at
business.
Google Forms to PDF calendar. It looks like there's some options, so maybe we can start with something simple where we collect the info, it goes to a one-pager, we start
Yeah.
with that, so it's posted and we
Yeah.
can, you know.
Yeah, and
evolve
then,
from there.
Lisa has like fancy things where there's a picture and the text scrolls through the picture.
Right.
And then when that text is gone, then it goes to a new picture.
Right.
We can start to get fancy like
Right,
that, where
right.
you have a picture of somebody's products and like a
Right.
description. But like you were saying, just start off with just getting a link.
Right, make sure we're
Just
collecting
get
the
a
right
link.
info.
Yeah,
Right.
click it in, and
Right.
I think that would be awesome.
Okay.
Brochure update, very small update this year, and then we gotta get it printed before the year ends, which is June 30th, right? We were originally gonna, North Central Chamber of Commerce was gonna give us like some matching thing, but their money, you know, it sounds like they're not really doing that anymore, so we'll just go with the same, our standard thing, what we've been doing. But it's pretty much gonna be the same, pretty much the same thing. So I put on here when I wrote the sewer district study, go over the draft charter and summary of work. So like 2 years ago, we went before the Board of Selectmen and they said, well, create a charter for a study group, but it sounds like Don doesn't want to do a study group. I don't know, have you talked to him about
I
that?
have not, I haven't seen it.
So it's just an email, he was like, well, I've looked at all the, pretty much what Don Lowe, town administrator, said is, he knows what needs to be done, like process-wise. So he doesn't feel like a study group would really help to look at that. I don't know, so we'll see what he says.
Without the study group, does it go anywhere though?
Well,
It's
so what do
more
you-
of like, is he gonna really?
Yeah, that's
right?
what I was
Like,
thinking.
We don't need one because I know it needs to be done, but no one's gonna do it.
Do it,
then
yeah.
It's just.
Right.
Right, you're not gonna get the buy-in.
Right,
Yeah.
I think
Unless
more
you
of
have the
a,
data.
if there's a study group, it's more to try.
It just
and
makes it
pitch
another
as
way of.
a team and say,
Sure.
to your point, having stakeholders from various areas of the community kind
Well,
of.
that's really the key
driving
to
it.
success, right?
Yeah, is getting
Getting
people.
everybody on board to say, yeah, this does make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'll bring that up on Thursday, like, you know, should we create a group just to, you know, test the waters and see what the town thinks of it? Like, you know, to create a document of, you know, what a sewer district could do for the town and, you know, kind of take the info from Dawn and get it on paper or some type of document that we could send out to the town. Maybe that's what the group does, you know?
Yeah, maybe if they've already done a lot of research,
Yeah.
maybe it's just collecting what was done over the years
Yeah.
and kind of bringing it back to the surface for discussion. So people
I just always feel
see
like,
it.
I mean, really, I think we went to the Board of Health like 3 or 4 years ago with Aline.
So we had a discussion with them. I
And they
think
weren't very interested.
They were not interested, and I think they got confused because we talked a little bit about water and
Yeah,
sewer.
yeah,
but
right.
Really, the water came into play because of the setbacks.
Yeah,
You can't put a well in if you have a leach field sitting on top of it, and that's the biggest challenge. But I think, to your point, the buy-in comes from, you know, initially this would be concentrated in a very specific geographic area.
yeah,
And so if I'm living, you know, on, you know, wherever, Green Road, I'm thinking, well, wait a second, I'm not paying any taxes to this, am I?
Yeah.
So that's the whole buy-in piece,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
I'm not gonna benefit just, you know, Murphy Insurance down on Main Street.
Yeah.
You know, tell me where this applies to me.
Yeah.
And that's really, we
It's
need
just
to have the
such
entire
a
buy-in.
tough nut to crack.
I agree, I'm not saying it isn't,
Yeah.
but,
I
so
think
then you
that's-
have to then break it down, is it just the people and that? So these are the things that I think need to be discussed.
I mean, every time I know I've brought it up with anybody, I feel like I just get immediate pushback, like, whoa, 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 this is like too big, this is Bolton here, kind of like, this is too big.
But again, it's 20 years down the road.
I know.
It's not like, what is it gonna look like tomorrow? It's,
Yeah, yeah.
I looked at the document you had sent out like a few months ago,
Yeah.
kind of reviewed it. What would it take to expand what's already there? Like, there seems like there's a lot of untapped potential.
Yeah,
right?
it was like kind of
Just
an
kind of what the
outline.
focus of that
Yeah.
was, hey, we've got all this underutilized, like, available, like, gallons that we can distribute,
Yeah.
that we can plug people into, but what would it take to
Well, so that's the thing.
talk about more businesses and expanding it?
Since
right?
then, I mean, that specific topic, I mean, I know that some of the people who were involved in the original system have said that, yeah, we're only using 14,000 gallons a day, but, you know, just like your home, you know, what its Title V number, like what it's rated for,
Yeah.
it's probably much higher.
yeah, and that, I think, and I tend to know nothing about this because I know nothing about it, but that's exactly it. It's a little misleading, you know, the capacity
Right.
versus what they're utilizing, because I don't know that you can quite look at it that's how it's been explained to me.
Same, they got explained to me that way after the fact as
Yeah.
well,
Yeah,
which is fine, I understand that.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, so I think there's a little bit more to those numbers than,
And then, although I did look at like the 10, you know, the long-range school enrollment, and it doesn't look like it's ever going up, although we keep on adding houses, so.
I know, I don't get that either.
But I just think people having less kids, there's no like, I don't know. I mean, intuitively, it seems like it would be like the population would be going up, but the long-range plan for the school is it's not really going up, so I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not.
So if there wasn't.
But what I was gonna say, sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Is, I know that Penny had said that there's no other room to like leach over there, so that, you know, any ounce of that system is there for potential expansion of the school, you know, so that's kind of where I was going with that. Because there's not really much more room to add it. So part of the study group was to say, you know, can we add to this? Can the system be added to? Is there room to do it? I mean, there's so many ways to drive this, you know, that I think it could be driven from so many different angles, but it's just not
Yeah.
happening.
So if like Don was against a study group saying we don't need it, we know it needs to be done, then what would be the next steps in the coming year or so to try and
Right,
push
so
that forward?
what I was
That wasn't
saying,
to happen.
maybe it's not a study group, because
Right.
his thing was, oh, we don't want unqualified people to be looking at. I think what he said in an email to me was that he would like a real engineer to go in and look at the system and that, but still, that's money, you know?
Right, there's a cost involved.
There's a cost involved.
If you
Um,
agree to do that, so
yeah.
that you still have to get buy-in.
Yeah, you still have to get buy-in. So maybe, I mean, I bring up sort of like a group that just goes and looks at the temperature of the town for something like that. And, you know, how it would be helpful and, you know, if the town would be interested in adding public infrastructure where then you could get business development along 495, you know.
Would a committee need to be created to do that?
Yeah, I mean, you have to create a charter and stuff, but
So that still would need to happen.
that would still need to happen.
So we could still draft one and say, hey, this is what
Yeah.
we're thinking.
Well, I think I'll go to this meeting and ask, is there any area where a volunteer group could get together, sort of like we have the Housing Production Plan Committee doing a long-range study of the housing? Could we do a sewer district study committee where you do a long-term plan for a future sewer district? You know, not getting into the technical aspect of it per se, but just, you know, starting a plan of some, like, you know, we were saying, it's just like, somebody's gotta do something at some time.
Right,
Or
whether
else-
it's now or
or we
5 or
just
10
gotta-
years from now, it needs to eventually
Yeah,
be
because I think
discussed, I think.
that the challenge is if you get caught flat-footed 10 years from now, let's say that a number of the properties on Main Street, and we know that there are a few that have had challenges, all of a sudden can't get, they can't put it in a leach field. Then you gotta do a tight tank, and the people are like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
What is that? What's the cost of that?
You start getting
You know, so
abandoned.
that's not an
abandoned
engineer,
storefronts,
that's
yeah.
an economic study to say, okay, now, Mr. and Mrs. Murphy, you live
Yeah.
in Bolton, and
Yeah.
you've got, half a dozen houses on your main street that are vacant. What does that do to the value of my house? You
Yeah.
know? So it's a lot deeper issue than just solving that, but solving that kind of is part of the issue.
But even
And
like,
so I agree with the study, and I don't think it has to be just simply, someone who's an engineer, although I think it's important to have that voice.
yeah, I think,
I think it's also important to have someone who's in the real estate business.
yeah,
that
based on what,
really look at, what would that look like?
yeah, so
That would be horrific.
it sounds like Dawn is very against volunteers doing anything engineering wise or looking at, anything. But I think if we go a more friendly marketing type of approach, and just get word out there that, hey, this is something the town could use.
I mean, if the town, and the way I would see either a group or committee working is to help kind of orchestrate and drive it. It's not like they're gonna, they would be making
Right.
decisions and saying like,
Right.
oh, this is the size.
Oh, Michael Murphy says it's gonna take 500,000
Yeah.
gallons.
Right.
What's your qualifications? So I stayed at a Holiday Inn.
Right, 'cause there's no
Yeah.
way that, but if it's to say, hey, we have talked to the residents, the
Right.
businesses that would utilize this, we've talked to, other towns to hear about what it
Yeah.
would take and say, hey, this is,
Right.
it's just a way, it's awareness and say, we can't make these decisions and we can't drive this, we've taken it to the point where
Yeah,
we need the town to kind of help,
yeah.
make this.
Well,
a
and then
priority.
also, I mean, I know like eventually we're gonna get going on master plan. It'd be nice to have that group feed this information towards the master plan,
Yeah.
And then I know, I've seen like articles of other towns doing master plans. They have like a lot of charrette type situations where groups get together and they like brainstorm ideas and,
Mhm.
different, and they break off into different groups and stuff, so. Yeah, so we'll see what is said on Thursday. Initial planning on backyard Bolton. Seems like a long way away, but it's only like 6 months.
No, it'd be good, we knew the last year that we first reached out, it wasn't until May, because it kind
Yeah.
of sprung up from.
But we had a hard, it was kind of like, when we first started doing it, I feel like we were rushed.
Yeah, it was hard, well, because it was like, we had to get the, we had to get the dates, we had to like
Yeah.
set it up, we had to see who would even be interested.
Yeah.
I think if we started in the next, call it April or whatever,
Yeah,
seeing who wants to do it again, putting out, feelers for potential.
so is this year's calendar? Is
Looks
this-
like, it says
Yeah.
2019.
So I think we should do the same thing, where we do a week in August and 2 weeks in September. I think that worked pretty well.
Is that, I thought we did we do that? I thought we did 2 weeks in August, no?
No, we did,
Oh, that's-
we did like the 20th, something of
Yeah.
August, and like the 7th.
That's right.
7th and like 21st. I know the last,
The last one was not as, the first two were more
Yeah.
popular. from what
but I think
remember.
that day in September, there were a lot of events.
That's what happens at that time of the year.
Yeah.
So
Everything
busy.
starts to happen.
But then I get nervous that we go too early in August and people aren't around. It's
Mm.
kind of tough.
We could ask, we could ask the people that participated last year if everyone that went with their
Yeah.
produce or with their crafts or whatever were like, yes, 3 weekends is great, that's what we
Yeah.
wanna do, then I'd say do the same thing. But if people were fine with just 2, then.
I know that some people said that, if you did one earlier in August, it would be good because there's like more summertime vegetables versus, like maybe we get more farms. So that's the one thing, is we gotta get like a anchor farm
Yeah,
there.
We need some, yeah, that was the.
And there's
one
5
thing.
Saturdays in August this year.
Oh, okay, so
Oh, are there? Then we should definitely do.
maybe we should do,
2 in August.
maybe we should do 17th, 31st, and 14th.
31st is Labor Day weekend though, right?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
But
Not
10th
7th.
and 24th. maybe.
17th and 24th, 2 in a row.
Do to the 10th, get some earlier veggies.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
there's
not a
stuff.
problem.
We can try it, 10th,
I mean, if it-
24th, and 14th. I think that last week in September
Yeah.
is just a lot of competition for people's fall time.
Yeah.
I think that hurt us. It was-
Yeah, 'cause it was like later, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was like, a thing at the fairgrounds in Lancaster, and there was, Harvard has theirs, and,
In one of the weekends, I think things got pushed off because of the rain, so everything, you never know what the weather's gonna be
Yeah.
like.
but I wouldn't mind trying it earlier in August, just see how that goes.
So the 10th and the 24th in August and the 14th in September?
10th, 24th, and then September 14th, yeah. Oh, because we're skipping.
Because you can.
Oh, should we
Yeah,
just
you
do
could
the 7th?
You could do, I mean,
Seven?
Yeah,
That's,
Yeah,
yeah,
no.
that's the Saturday after Labor Day.
yeah,
yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
people are more likely to probably be around because it was just Labor Day weekend. That
Yeah.
last week in August is always like a
Well,
popular.
there's 7 schools
vacation
open.
time.
You're back in school already.
and we would be avoiding that last week of August and Labor Day weekend. So people will most likely probably to go away that last week in August, I would think.
Yeah.
Last hurrah.
Mhm.
Yep.
But it seemed like people wanna see it happen
Yeah.
again.
And I do think we need the week in between as downtime.
Yeah, it's
Just
too-
for us,
yeah.
Every
at
other-
least.
And we're, yeah, if there's one or two of us doing it, yeah, every weekend, it's like.
Oh, that's
yeah,
it becomes
even
a
2
full-time
weeks-
job.
Yeah, even 2 weeks, you're like, by the end, I was like, yeah, 3's enough.
It's nice with the 2 weeks in between, because we took like a week off. And then like that Monday through Thursday leading up, it's like, are you gonna show? Are you gonna come? Are you gonna show? Like,
Yeah.
both of us, just like a million emails.
Similar to gaining interest, I'm hoping it'll be easier because we now
Yeah.
have a core group of people
Yeah.
that did it, and even if like only half return, it's still a lot of like vendors. And then same thing, like, all the like marketing stuff that we had done.
Yeah.
It's just templates that
Yeah.
hopefully we could use again.
The World Farmers, the Bolton Flats, they were awesome.
Yeah,
So
they
hopefully we
like,
can get them back.
yeah, they were great.
Yeah. They had great stuff too.
Yep.
Lots of good greens.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the only thing that I probably heard. I think if there's more like produce,
Yeah,
then people
of
will
course.
be really happy.
Yeah.
Not that they're, we did the best we could to
Yeah.
kind of,
Well, and
Get
so
better,
talking about starting early. What's the one in Lancaster?
Harper's.
Harper's.
That's why I
Harper's and
didn't see it.
Applefield, they're very booked up.
Yeah.
But they said, talk to us earlier in the year,
Oh, did they?
Oh, and
About
then,
actually
the
coming
thing,
and saying
yeah,
it? Okay.
when I talked to Harper's, they said September, they lose their college kids or high school
Yeah.
kids or something, so they can't do as many farms, so maybe it would work out to do it in August.
I can ask, I have a CSA,
Yeah,
so I can ask, I think it's Dave,
yeah,
who's the owner, I can ask him if it's something he'd be interested in.
yeah. I mean, I know like someone
It's
went to
easier
go.
than us selling their stuff for
The
them.
thing is, I know, we're still not like a city farmer's market where you get a ton of
Yeah.
people. But, so I think starting early, and if we can get, I think we can get World Farmers back, which would be great. And what was her name again? I forget her name.
Oh, I don't know.
She was awesome,
Yeah.
although they always showed up like a half an hour late. But,
So that's why, the time of the event, it's nice if everyone's on time, but it's
yeah.
kind of loose, it's like, as long as
Um,
people show up.
But if we can get another acre farm.
Yeah, then I think there were plenty of the other,
And what we did we do it in the, we just did it in the last one. Maybe we did it in the last two, but we did the community table.
the donations.
That was really good.
I think we should.
So I have an idea. So we do the community table, which it could be a community table where you just drop it off, and if you buy it, so people would buy it, then we split up money between the charities that we're at,
Mhm.
the thing. So say you're a backyard grower, you just drop something off, but also we could use that table as like kind of a barter table, where you drop something off, like kind of trade. So you can either just drop it off and sell it, or you could drop it off and be like, oh, that looks good. Just kind of like a trade community table.
Yep.
So some of it goes to charity, some of it you can trade.
Some people came over and asked to do that.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah, they came over and traded
Hmm.
and stuff. So, and then I really would like to get, because I know my son wants to do it, he wants to have like a kid's table. So we said, I think we took the tact of, oh yeah, have your kid come, but if we have just like a table where somebody can come just bring like a couple of things,
Yeah.
just a kid's table,
Yeah, that could.
Because then they
what
could,
that was,
I
could be that.
because I know my son would want to sell like a couple of things and he thinks it's cool to make a couple of dollars,
Yep.
So,
There's plenty of space. We
yeah,
we could have had
lots
more
of paths.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we're saying then the 10th, 24th.
24th and
That's
7th.
Yeah,
As long as that, I don't know if that moving it up a week conflicts with like any movie nights or anything else, that's
Well-
something we had to check on to see if.
Yeah, so, I mean, the sooner the,
Yeah.
so the other thing with the dates is, if these are the dates you're going, well, we can just book them now. If it's
Yeah.
not coming, you know,
Yep.
just take them up now. Yeah, so maybe I'll send Laura Beth Roberts a email about that.
Alright.
That's another good thing with getting going
Yeah.
sooner. Yeah. That's good enough.
Eric, what time do you need to be at the caucus?
7:30, right?
Okay.
Yeah, 7:30 it starts, right?
I don't know, I can take a look.
Could you search Bolton Town of Bolton? Oh, well, I either missed it or I'm gonna be on time, so. I was assuming
I think I was driving, there was like a.
7:30, I'm pretty sure. Just go to the calendar. Oh, caucus, 7:30.
Okay,
Yeah, so we'll wrap this up. Is there anything new business-wise?
not really, no.
Yeah. So the bylaws coming up in May is we're allowing multiple structures on a single lot.
Like
So, huh?
Like what?
So right now, really the only thing you can have is like a strip mall type, like country covered. But you say you're allowed 10, so you're allowed 20%, now you're allowed 20%. So if you have 10 acres, you can, what's 10 acres, 400,000, so very roughly. So you can build on 80,000, I mean, that's a lot. But anyway, instead of just having one giant building, you can split it up into separate pads to make it more aesthetically appealing. You know, more of like a village feel.
Yeah.
So that's one bylaw, to allow multiple buildings on a lot. And then the other, well, there's two other things. The other thing is we're cleaning up the edges of the business zone. Because right now, yeah, if you look on there, the business zone is kind of just blocks. It's not really tied to lots, so we're tying it to lots. So for instance, the current gas station that's there, the self-serve one, right down the middle of that gas station is the business zone and the residential zone line. So if they wanted to redo that gas station, they couldn't. Because they'd have to build it all in the business zone lot, which then they'd be squeezing over and they just couldn't do it. So, you know, pretty much we're locking the edge of the business zone and industrial zone to lot lines. It's kind of just a cleanup. And then the final thing we're doing is there's interest in the Cobham building that's been vacant for 5 years, and it's a self-storage facility, which would be pretty good for town because it's low impact.
Yeah.
It's not gonna cause any pollutants or noise or anything. Neighbors wouldn't be bothered by it. The problem is we don't really have it in our use table. So we're adding self-storage and wholesale, right? Not wholesale.
Warehouse.
Warehouse. So self-storage and warehouse to the use table. So that, you know, and we had to tell the guy, well, like, we don't really have a place for that.
Yeah,
Are they disappearing?
they are,
Yeah.
yeah, they can't wait 3 months, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean someone else,
Yeah,
you know,
That's
can come
fine.
along, so.
yeah. I mean, pretty much we couldn't just allow it because it wasn't there.
Right.
I mean, we all wanted to, but it's just, we'd have to be making something up on the fly, and we don't want to be doing that. We want to follow the bylaws. So we have that going on, so that's fine. If there's interest in that type of business, then I'm sure there'll be another person. Yeah. So those are the main things, and I think that's it. So next meeting, we're in March. It's March 4th, still April 1st.
First.
Good. If it's not good, we could do the 8th, but we'll say tentatively the 1st, to stick with the first Monday in the month. I think April Fool's Day is a holiday of any sort.
At 7.
Huh?
At 7.
Yeah, we'll switch back to 7.
So hypothetically speaking, if the Kane property, you're now including warehouse as a intended use, they could put a fairly good sized warehouse in that.
Well, did we just say industrial?
It's just industrial.
Okay.
Yeah, we just said industrial. We don't want to take up business.
All right. Not that I have an opinion on that, I just have a concern.
Yeah.
I mean, you would rather, I would rather not just have this like massive
Yeah.
warehouse
Yeah.
sitting on a piece of property.
Yeah. No, it's just industrial. It makes sense in industrial.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, we got a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
And a second? Something, all in favor? Aye. All right. Thank you.